Ah,
Sorry.
when I when I said that, I was like, he's gonna laugh at that, bro.
You could do it. It's just funny.
I don't even try.
I know.
I don't even try. I'm just like, ah. Oh man, yo, what's up, guys? Episode 11, Dreams and Day Job Podcast, where we go in and we talk about dreams and day jobs, man. How to hustle at both of them. I'm one of your hosts, Travis, with my guy right here.
You already know what it is, man. Episode 11. I'm Jeff Abel. Like I've said 11 times now. Here we are. Episode 11. You might say 11 is nothing, but you also might say 11 is something, man. 11 weeks in a row, dude. 11 weeks.
Jeff looks me dead in the eye.
For
Man.
real.
Yo, listen. You might 11 is
For real,
something.
yeah. 11 is something.
11 is definitely
You know,
something, bro.
11 weeks in a row. We're here
Yeah.
shooting,
Yeah, bro.
filming,
Podcasting,
just
bro.
setting it up. It's a little bit late, but you know what? Well, you know, late for,
Bro.
maybe not late for you, but
Not
kind of late
yeah,
for me.
no, I mean,
but
yeah.
we're here,
No,
dude.
Not too late,
You
but,
know?
yeah.
So
Yo,
doing
I
the
mean,
dream part now, got our day jobs tomorrow, and we're
Yeah.
here, dude.
Yeah,
You know,
you're right.
really,
Exactly.
like, for real.
Exactly. That's how you separate it.
That's it.
Any day that you're not working on your day job is the dream job automatically, because that time that you have is going to be the only time that you're going to be able to do anything, you know?
Well,
Time
yeah, I mean,
management, bro.
yeah. You wonder how many people have that mindset.
Yeah, like, managing your time so well that it's like, you definitely learn. If you went to school and you did any type of sport, you played in a band, you learn that, like, yo, you got to manage your time. Like, you're going to practice at this time, you're going to do homework at this time, you're going to go on a date at this time, you're going to eat at this time, you're going to train at this time, and you just keep adding it on
Yeah.
as you grow.
That's definitely put more into play, more into action now, like time management for sure.
Yeah, when you get more serious into
You
your,
know, which I give you
dream
credit too, because
vision.
you have a lot. Not that I don't have things going
Got a
on,
lot
but like,
going on too, bro.
but you have a lot. You have more going on than I do. You know, so
I mean,
you're
to each
definitely,
his own, bro.
you know.
To each his own.
But I'm saying you're always, that's, in general, I feel like I give you credit because you're always, like, you got the family thing, you work, and then, like, you're always, like, you're making beats, like, you're still, like, finding time to do your thing, and, like,
And it's kind of funny. I was going to say to you, because I thought about this question, if you were going to, like, now I have a daughter, now I think about what would be a lesson that I would want to leave her. If I were to leave her, say one message, like one message, and you can make it long, to your daughter or son in the future when you do have kids, what would be that one thing? And you can make it long. You don't just have to say one word, but what would be that one message you would want to give to them?
yeah, I mean, I don't know if I can answer that right off the top. Do you have a daughter? Do you
Yeah,
know your answer?
You can answer that off the top.
I don't know, man. I feel like there's a lot of things I would say. I would think. I mean, I don't have any kids, but
Think about if you had to narrow down all those things, because there is a lot, of course, like asking for one thing. But say there is that one thing, a lot of times, like, that one thing, because the one thing that I'm thinking I would leave her kind of sums up everything for me,
yeah.
that
So,
I would
okay. So if I'm being honest, again, I don't have kids, and my answer is going to be based off of how, like, yo, I know, I feel you. The back pain, dude,
Oh
it
my
sucks. I know, I
God,
feel you.
dude. Yeah, go ahead.
But my answer is going to be based off of the way my current, like, brain is wired,
Yeah,
based on, like,
that's
how
all
I
you can
think
do.
right now
That's all you could do.
with no kids. And this is, I would imagine that if I had a son, it would be different for a son or a daughter.
Yeah, it definitely would change.
So
but,
if I had a son, I would imagine that I would say, and if he was young, I would say something along the lines of, do things that are hard, get out of your comfort zone, stick to your truth and the way you believe, or what you believe, and don't like fold, or not fold. Don't change the way you feel because of other people. Like, stay true to who you are and what you believe. Work hard and do good to others. I feel like more or less would be
Love that.
what I would say to my son. And for my daughter,
Oh, you wouldn't say the same thing.
I would say more or less the same thing to my daughter, but I feel like I would say it a little different. I would say other things to my daughter.
Mm.
And this is the truth though. Like, I'm not even
Yeah,
saying like
yeah,
this
yeah.
is the dead honest truth.
I
I
get it.
would say, work hard. I would say, honestly, I think I would say do your best to do. And I'm trying to say it in a way where it's not like super like sounding like a dick or like controversial sounding. Like, I would say do your best to act like, like a lady, and understand that it's probably going to be something that you'd want to do to, maybe have kids or something and be a wife one day is something that you're going to want to do. So maybe try to set yourself up and act in a way that's going to allow you to do that. Maybe and try to align yourself with the right person, the right guy who's going to take care of you and kind of set you up for the right. I don't know how I'm trying to word it. Like, I don't really. I feel like I know what I'm trying to say, but I don't know how to say it.
I think
You know what I'm.
so I'm wondering why separate the advice based off gender. I'm wondering
Because
that.
I think they're different.
Really?
Yeah,
See, I don't think so.
I think in certain ways they're
Of
different.
course, like in the sense of, but I don't think so at all. I think the exact same thing I would tell my son, I'd say to my daughter, because the same role, like saying like, being ladylike or being a gentleman, they're the same principle. They're just different words.
Different actions.
Different words.
Yeah,
Like the actions are the same. It's respect. It's moving with courage and being bold. It's living up to your, standards, challenging. It's all those things. You know what I'm saying? It's just a different.
yeah,
You know
more.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
I get.
I would say the same things, but they are different. Like, I would tell my son to do what it is to be a man, stand up for yourself.
Yeah.
Try not to be like.
Mm,
And you know what's funny, dude, is that like my answers, I look back at like maybe me as a kid or things that like I didn't do.
mm,
And I would be like, okay, well, I didn't do this. And like, I realize this now. So I'm telling you that maybe it would probably be a good idea for you to do this. And
yeah.
here's why,
Yeah. Yeah.
So like I would tell my son to
Mm-hmm.
be a gentleman and, stand up for yourself and,
Yeah.
try not to fold under pressure and just go through things, see things through. Like,
Mm-hmm. Because you were a guy, so like you see things as a man, now I have a daughter. Seeing things as a girl is only coming from my perspective and experiences with women, and in that, with women,
yeah.
to then break it down in my mind to try to give her the best advice.
Yeah, like I'm
You know what I'm
not.
saying? So it is separate.
Yeah,
Like we have a man's perspective. We can never have a female perspective
yeah, exactly.
unless we are, locked in with a girl and you're talking to her and feeling how she feels about everything. So you could make a,
Yeah. So I guess based on like,
Yeah.
for example, like even me, like my parents are divorced, or like I would just, I work with women. I've been
Yep,
working with girls for a long time. So
Mhm.
I would just say, based on what I've seen, my own experience in family or friends or like my environment and what I've seen, that's why I would probably tell my daughter, all right, like, or like based on the divorce rate, like make sure
Mhm.
you're with a guy who can do this, this, and this. Expect this, this, and this.
Mhm.
You know, these things might come up in relationships and marriages, and maybe you should try to handle them this way rather than that, based on these people over here that didn't maybe work out, or this, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or
definitely.
I would tell my son, like, when you
Yeah.
grow up and, it's probably important to learn how to defend yourself because, you might get in a situation or this and that. You don't want to feel like you're getting kicked around and you can't stand up for yourself.
Mhm.
But I wouldn't really probably go tell my daughter that to go learn how to fight. Maybe I would. I mean, maybe I would. I don't know.
You
But
never know.
I think certain things are different.
Yeah, I
You
get
know?
it. No, I mean,
It's interesting for you too, because you're a father now
Yeah.
and you have a daughter, and
Yeah. And now I would.
he's going to be looking at you, dude, growing
Yeah,
up,
bro.
dude. How
Yeah.
she's going to, and I never really thought about this, dude, because I have a sister too,
Yeah.
and I never really thought about this, but now, like, in a sense, like your daughter is gonna be like you're gonna be your daughter's like first like true love. I feel like the first
Yeah,
man in her life to where she's gonna
yeah.
look at and like,
And like compare other
yeah,
dudes too. Like,
yeah,
and as
dude,
she should.
100%.
So like it
So
makes you live up to that perspective of
yeah,
what you want her to land with.
exactly.
So that's very interesting. It's
You know,
so true, bro. It's so true. It's
like
so
for
true.
real, yeah,
And it definitely gives you a different perspective. Even like when I got married, it changes like how you really view women. It's just like the sexualization part of it. Like, yeah, everyone's like, you're
you're
human,
human,
but
yeah,
you're human to an extent. Like
hmm
there gets a point where like you get married and it's no longer that. Like, you signed up to be married and I'm happy and I was happy to do it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's where my respect resides. And it was so funny. We were just watching Selling Sunset, the new season,
I haven't seen the new one,
and
but
one of the girls, um, spoiler, but one of the girls' husbands cheats on her. And it's just like, it's kind of wild in the sense of like, obviously no one could predict the future, but I don't know, man. For me, like, I think there has to be some things you need to predict for yourself. And that should be like pronto. Like number uno for you to do is if you're getting married, you're with that lady till death do us part. There's no playing around. There's no side things. There's no mistakes. There's none of that, bro. And like I'm like truly like I'm proud, happy to go on that journey. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's like yo, that's so opposite than what I ever really thought because I always was like, man, I'm gonna get married later in life. Nah, I don't want to get married. My mom would ask me all the time, like when I was in my 20s, when you gonna get married? Dude, I was married when I was 28. Like, I'm like, nah, man, I ain't getting married probably till I'm 40.
yeah,
Like that was my thing. Like that
yeah,
was what I was saying. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna date. I don't want to be married and like do all that and like have kids and stuff. And it just changed, bro. Like being in the dating scene
yeah,
and having that, like it just was like, nah, bro, this is whack. This is the absolute. This is a trap. Like
yeah,
the dating scene is a trap, in my opinion. It's a trap because the how we were dating was you go out Friday, Saturday, maybe Sunday find something to do, link up with people, friends, drink, smoke, party, go out to places, go to people's houses, hang
hmm
out with people. And then if nothing really like landed, next week is a whole nother thing now. And yeah, it's fun at first, you're young, but then after you do it for a while, like anything that's like hedonism, you're just, it's just not right anymore. It has to
yeah.
change. Like, and that's what it
Well,
got to.
yeah, well, two things. One, I think, like you just said, I think with I think I saw this clip. It was like the Chris Williamson podcast with Dan Bilzerian, and
Mm,
he was on it, and he was saying he was like men that have been able to experience a lot of dating
hmm
and like casual dating and seeing a lot of girls and have
hmm
had experience have a unique ability to be monogamous because they've done it all and they've gotten it out of their system. I'm
Yeah,
not saying everybody.
and yeah,
I'm not
no,
saying
it's
everybody,
definitely
but
that.
but like anything, it's like having a fridge full of food, but it's like if you always have food, it's like I don't need to eat right now. Like, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's kind
there
of like
is.
if you know what I mean? So I
Yeah,
can
there is a
understand that.
level of
So I
experience.
think that but if you're somebody, and then he says, if you're somebody who like maybe went out with one or two girls growing up or just doesn't have a lot of experience
Mm,
and you jump into something, it might not always, it
yeah.
might be a little bit harder to stay committed
hmm
when you maybe little opportunities pop up
Yeah.
because you're like, oh man, well, I've never experienced that,
Yeah.
you know
It's true
so
intent, it's
yeah,
like it's so crazy, bro, when you really think about it, like you try to go deeper into everything and what's your intention with everything? Like everything really, it's crazy how everything really does come down to intent.
yeah,
Like in a deep, you can't be, we like to chalk things up to being like so impulsive, but like the decision making in most actions is there's more decisions being made before you do something than you really think, then break down. And if you're not breaking them down, the more
that's
complicated
true.
ones, like you picking up that football, bending over to pick the football, like you know you're gonna have to bend over, you're gonna grab it, what hand you're gonna use, what are you gonna do with it after you pick it up, what are you gonna do with it when you go sit down? All these are decisions, but
Yeah.
that's something minuscule, picking up a football. Going out with a girl that you met randomly is completely different.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
or just anything, like choosing to hang out with the wrong people. It could be detrimental to your life if you're not thinking and breaking down the decisions. And that would be something definitely wise to leave with someone like, yo, really analyze what you're doing.
Yeah. And
Like
that comes,
analyze
but
it.
but even what you just said with like the intention, like having
Yeah.
intent, like that comes with age and experience. Like you
Yeah.
had intent to like
Yeah, bro.
spend the rest of your life with someone and get married. So it's like
Yeah.
it's easy because you had that intention that, but like, you got to that place by like going through it and getting
Yeah.
older and doing your
Yeah.
thing and or
It
whatever,
was.
just getting experience.
It's interesting. I've met people too, though, that only dated this one person and is with them now.
Oh yeah, dude,
You know
there
what I'm
are
saying? No,
outliers
no,
out
no.
there.
It's definitely interesting. Like you just think about it as like, what in their mind ticked that was like, nah, like not interested in doing all that. Good get
So
married.
funny you say that.
Yeah.
Um, I'm a big podcast listener, so I go through
Hmm.
these phases where I listen to certain people. I've been listening to Ty Lopez,
Hmm.
is one of the guys I've been listening to, and he said that I'm pretty sure I don't know if he said there was science that backed this up, but he said that something about monogamy being not always, but in a monogamy being like a genetic or like some people are like genetically just like if you were to draw four circles,
Mm.
this percent of it, there was, I think he said like in one circle, there'd be 25% of men that are just happy being monogamous.
Hmm.
They're married just for even without a lot of experience. They're
Yeah.
just that group of men that just genetically they're wired to they're married. They enjoy being married. They enjoy being with one person and they don't even desire ever
Hmm.
it's like having an option of all these desserts. I'm eating carrot cake. I like carrot
Hmm.
cake. I can have chocolate. There's vanilla. There's strawberry. There's all these types of cakes
Hmm.
and all these desserts out here.
All different
I
things.
I like carrot cake. I'm not drifting. I'm happy
Uh,
with carrot cake for the rest of my life.
yeah.
There is that group of people. There's that group of men.
Yeah. You gotta find you
So
some carrot
yeah,
cake.
you gotta. I like carrot. I love carrot cake, bro. For real. And I'll tell you what, 9 times, I would say very close to 10 times out of 10, if
Yeah.
there's carrot cake, I'm taking that over everything.
Over
You
everything.
know?
It's funny, yo. I love carrot cake too,
Love
bro.
it, dude.
Love
It's an
carrot
acquired
cake.
taste. When I was a kid, never
Hated it.
hated it.
Hated it.
Never.
Now, love it,
Love
bro.
it, dude.
Love carrot cake, bro.
Yeah.
Like I prefer ice cream cake, carrot cake, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
So yeah, no, I'm
yeah.
just saying. I think there's definitely some dudes are just wired to stick with carrot cake, stick with their dessert,
Yeah.
dude. And not
Yeah.
want anything else.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I do believe that's the way God like intended it for it to be. Um, I don't know. Just for me, like, because I just couldn't. I don't know. I couldn't fathom like. I just always remember like in the book of Proverbs, he talks about, and this is coming from King Solomon, who had plenty of wives, richest
Yeah,
dude.
King Solomon,
Like
dude. I
King
remember.
Solomon,
I
you know what
heard
I'm
about.
saying? Like,
Yeah,
so like this dude had at one point was the richest person in the world and was king over Israel. So he was the richest guy. And Proverbs is crazy wise, and it's wise because of his relationship with God. But his demise ultimately was a female. And it wasn't like, I can't even say that, but I feel like, you know, his weakness was women, and this particular girl, and I'm pretty sure I got this right, but this particular girl got him to worship another god. And this is this long while King Solomon was with God,
yeah,
and he chose to worship the girl, and like things kind of fell down through him. But I remember him saying in one of them, like, why should you, he says something like in the sense of like, why should you want the kisses of another man's wife? Why should you want to give your attention to her? And he says something like, leave your love for your wife and for her alone. Almost like, and he compares your wife to like a female deer and like the gentleness of her and stuff like that. And it's really cool. And it's just so, it's so true in the sense of like, when you really break down the world, it's just not complicated in the sense of like sex, money, and drugs and alcohol. And, gambling. Like, there's really not so many vices. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, there's only so many. So
Yeah.
it's like, think about it. When you get married and you're truly in love, God put you with the right person, and now you're no longer a part of that. You cut out sex
Yeah.
out of that big category of drugs and alcohol. And if you don't do drugs and alcohol, bro, you damn near cut out a lot of the
True.
vices.
Yeah.
The rest, I feel like, is going to be internal stuff. You know, what are you battling with? Stuff that people can't see.
Mhm.
That only you and God know, and what He's working on you and how you're handling it day by day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like, it's kind of interesting how it's like the world's so complicated in a sense, but at the same time so simple.
Yeah.
Like, we all struggle with the same basic things.
Oh yeah, dude.
So
And
it's
most
like,
and most of it is pleasure seeking. That's what
yeah,
a lot of people struggle with. I think
yeah,
it's super
definitely.
interesting that like you can look back at the Bible and like can have the connection of like the demise of men of a
Mm,
female. I think that's interesting.
yeah.
Shout out Brandon Carter. That's why I was laughing.
Uh,
He goes, the other day I was listening, he goes,
Adam, make the app.
yeah, he goes, yeah, man. He goes, they told us in the book of Genesis, listening to a woman fucks everything. Just funny, dude. It was just
Yo,
funny how he said that, but
yeah.
like, you know,
Yo, I
but
mean,
how
yeah,
I
it's
eat,
funny,
yeah,
but it's not correct, in my opinion. It's not correct because that I love how, see, that's such a loose thing to say. Like, in my opinion, that's a loose thing to say, and it's wrong, and it gives people the wrong impression of that,
yeah, of
because
course.
realistically,
I never even thought about it till I heard it for the
yeah,
first
well,
time, you
it's
know?
just not true. Like, the serpent, when you read Genesis, it's very out there. Like, eh, bro, I feel like God loves you first. God has to draw near to you, because for you to truly believe what that book has, bro, like, that book talks about a Godzilla monster in the middle of the sea. Like, for real, like, really there, and on another level. And it's funny, when he does talk about that, it's in the book of Job. And Job is a story of a guy who had everything, and God allowed the devil to take everything away from him. And one day lost his family, his crops, and all his wealth in one day. The book is 40 some odd chapters long, and on the first page of it, Job loses everything. And he was a faithful guy. God loved him, and he said, like, Job, like, it's crazy, bro. It's like, it talks about, like, there's a heavenly meeting, and God's there holding this heavenly meeting, and Lucifer shows up and says, like, and he addresses the devil and says, like, what have you been doing on the earth? And he says, I'm just, like, he says, going from to to fro. Basically, like, yeah, I'm just roaming the earth. Like, I'm just roaming
Yeah.
the earth. Like, that's where I am. Like, you know, and he asked him, have you seen my servant Job? And he goes, yeah, that guy you can't break that guy like that. He goes, he loves you more than anything. Like, can't do anything to that guy. And he goes, yes, he goes, I know that Job is a very faithful servant, and I love Job. And the devil says to God, he goes, yeah, but I bet if you took his family and his wealth and his health, he'd curse you. So God says, go ahead, but don't hurt Job. Like, don't actually hurt him. And like, his family, he had like these 4 kids taken up in a storm, collapsed the building, killed his family. Crop got hit with a disease, killed all his crops and animals. And then he broke out in like a sores all over his body, kind of like a leprosy
Hmm.
kind of disease in that one day. And the whole story is so interesting, bro. But Job never curses God until the end, and he doesn't really curse him, but he demands that he have a conversation with God to basically justify himself why this should never have happened to him. And you feel for a minute, because you're like, yo, this guy was such a good guy. All
Yeah.
this stuff happened to him. Like, all his friends are saying you had to do something to get this because God does this. And it's so crazy, bro. The story is amazing, bro. And then at the end, in chapter 40 to 45, it says it's one of the only books in the Bible, in my opinion, that God directly, like, you're not talking about Jesus speaking, even though Jesus, the Holy Spirit, and God are the same person. It's just God the Father, God the Son, God the Spirit. God in 3 different functions. That's it. Same way you are a son, you're a brother, and you're a friend.
Hmm.
You're still Jeff. You
Hmm.
know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
not different. It's still God. But Jesus has he has his life as a man. The Holy Spirit, after Jesus dies, has his existence in the Bible with the disciples. But God the Father, there's only certain books that he talks. And it's pretty wild to think like these books have been for, over 60, 70 different authors all writing about the same God at all different times, all alluding to Jesus with geographical spots and everything. The Bible is fully true. You can't dissect it, right? And so Job gets confronted by God. It says God spoke through the storm clouds to Job. And like, it's crazy, bro. Like immediately addresses him. Like you feel the intenseness of God talking. Like he's like, yo, stand up straight when you talk to me. Stop complaining. And he goes, do you really think that you should justify me? That you should be right and I should be wrong? And then he goes into crazy stuff. He's like, have you ever set the sun? Do you know what it takes to keep the waters back from coming over to the shore? He goes, do you feed the eagles and their babies? Do you make rain fall on the dry grass? And he goes through all these things, and he goes into Leviathan. He goes, can you put a hook through Leviathan's mouth and cut him up and sell him in the merchant? And like, it's crazy, bro. And you truly see the difference of like, it for me when I read that, if I ever like want like feel like I don't know, it motivates me and just hypes me up where it's like you see the awness of God. Like when I heard him say, have you ever set the sun?
Yeah, it's
You don't
pretty
even
dope.
think
Yeah.
of that. He's like, do you know where to put Orion's belt? Like it shows you the creator as who he is and how he thinks of this thing. Like he just says like all this stuff happens to Job, all these things. He basically gets torn up. Only thing that doesn't happen die.
Yeah.
And he tells him, stand up straight
But like
before when you're talking to me.
try setting the sun.
And you're going to try to justify. He goes, you're trying to justify yourself and make me look like I'm wrong. And and people like to talk so loose about like God, like, and the afterlife because we have an arrogance about us. We don't, that's why it says fear God. People think like, why should I fear God? Because fear.
I never understood that. I would like you to explain
I
that
think
to me.
I got a good I think, fear God.
When people say God fearing, like, can you explain that to
God
me?
fearing means like, okay, I heard it one time, but it's reverence. Fear is reverence for God. It's not I'm scared of God and I don't want to talk to them. It's respect. It's the same way you should, and I'm guilty of this, but like, we're all not perfect, but this is the way you should treat your mother and your father with fear and reverence. You shouldn't be afraid of them like they could hurt you. Like you're afraid of them like they're going to do something, but you have respect. And I like to think of it as like if you were a little kid and you were scared, you were afraid of the dark, right? You don't go into dark places because you have respect for the dark to not even go.
Because it has the power of you.
That kind of is a bad example in the sense of like fear, but it's not it's not a bad balanced fear. It's a fear of like, God, I realize that you created everything and I have such a respect for you that I respect you. And that if I were to really do something that I know you don't like, that should cause me fear. Because if it doesn't cause you fear, then it's hard to, really say to yourself that you believe this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
makes
because
sense.
if you're just so loosely with your life and you're like, man, God got me. But when you read how God talked to Job and Job had everything right. Job didn't sin. It said Job didn't sin. He was careful not to sin.
In short, Job was a G.
Think about it. Job was careful not to sin. How many days do you walk around carefully not trying to sin? Like that's like something is a cautious way. They call it like a barefooted priest. Like you're a priest and you're barefoot walking around. You would be a lot more cautious on what you step on. You would. If you walked outside right day and you said, yo, all day today you can't wear shoes. You think you just go walking and stomping outside? Nah, bro. You make sure you don't step on no rock, no bug, no puddle.
Yeah.
But no, we just, in our lives, we just put our spiritual shoes on.
It went off, right?
Yeah. So that's all we do now. We put our spiritual shoes on and we just walk out the door and have in a sense, feel like we have no consequences. And then, screw up and be like, yeah, it's all good. Like, and yeah, it is all good. But like, man, I don't know, bro. Plenty of people don't wake up. Like, so what are you really living for? You know, like what are you really living for? If if you weren't gonna wake up tomorrow and you do you know where you would be going? How would that look for you? There's no downside of being a Christian. That's the funny thing. If you were to choose to believe, all the rewards are for you. Everything's on your side.
Yeah.
You go to heaven, you're with God, you got a relationship with him throughout your life. You are sure of everything. You have someone to always hope in. If you choose not to believe, you could subtract everything right there. I just said you could do it for yourself. But if you die and God was real and you end up in hell, that's the downside.
Yeah.
So there's no downside of being a Christian. And, listen, I ain't trying to make anybody feel some type of way. I feel like God's got to draw to you and you draw near to him and it comes clear to you. I don't know. I feel like God's very fair. He gives everybody a chance. We all in a different race, in life and our relationship with him. But I just can't see a downside, bro. Like,
No, I hear you.
there's just no
That's
downside. I
true.
had a philosopher teacher who's mad cool, Mike Short, bro, from Boston College, and he taught philosophy at Cheshire Academy. He was a young dude, he was like our age at
Mhm.
this time when I was in high school. And he put a box with a cross in it. And he's like, say you believe and you're right. Say you believe and you're wrong. Say you don't believe and you're right. Say you don't believe and you're wrong. Every option when you don't believe and you're wrong is the worst answer. But these other three aren't bad.
Yeah.
But there's risks. If you don't believe and you're right, you have a 75% chance of being wrong, though. You have a 25% chance of being right, So you're being an atheist, you have that 25, you only have 25% out of the whole equation to get it right. Now, most atheists must be gamblers. I ain't taking that bet.
Yeah. No, it's interesting when you put it like that.
I ain't taking that bet, bro. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, I don't know. I've just been thinking about it a lot more in the sense of like life and it's so quick. Folks ain't going to be here for everybody. Everybody's not going to be here forever. And when I asked you that question about like, what would you say to your daughter, your son? Man, I'm thinking like, I would say like, yo, for real, like live it. Like have a
I was just
relation.
gonna bring it back to that,
Yeah, bro.
because that was a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry,
No,
bro.
no, don't be
That
sorry.
was rushed,
No, absolutely not.
you
I'm
know?
saying, but it's funny that you brought it back because I was just gonna say
Mm.
to bring it back to the original
Question
question,
that lasted 35
what
minutes.
would you
Yeah.
tell your daughter? For
Man,
real. If you,
for real,
you said
I
you would
will
say,
tell her when she's old enough, like, yo, listen, your relationship with God is number one. Number two is to live it. Live your life. Live it. Don't be afraid of what people got to say. Live the day really like it were your last. Like, what are all the things you want to accomplish? Go for them. Don't think about what people got to say about it. Just be so focused and do it and enjoy it and experiment. But, be very careful. It's a loaded message. You know what I'm saying? It's a
it
loaded
is, yeah,
message, but your relationship with God is uno. And the rest is do what you want to do in a sense, like don't be reckless, but really sit down, analyze what, God has given you for gifts and really map it out. Map it out.
but I think the cool thing and the important slash, assuming that or not just you, but any guy,
Mm,
any father, or or like me in the future if I have a daughter. The
mm,
cool thing about it is that you are going to be the first dude that she looks up to, like that
yeah.
you're going to be that example for her,
Yeah. It's
you
nice.
know? So it's
I look forward to it.
you know,
Yeah.
so
I can't
when
wait.
she goes out or she meets guys or she
Yeah.
dates and this and that,
Yeah.
whether you like it or not, or whether she likes it or not,
Hmm.
she's probably going to be comparing
Yeah.
that person to
Oh
you,
man.
you know?
Gosh, he'll be a hell of a guy.
So, yeah, yeah,
Like, yeah, no, it is wild, bro. Like, it definitely is a change. Like when you have a kid and you see that and you think about that, but it also is a message to yourself. Like ultimately, like when you die, what do you want people to know you for? What do you want to leave as your mark here? What stones did you not turn over? Or are you just gonna say, nah, I turned over every stone. I tried everything, you know? And that's literally where I'm at right now. I definitely thought about that in the last like couple of days. I've always thought like that, but in my life, it hits levels. I'm like, this is a new level. Like, I'm really not about to care. Like I know I don't care now, but I'm really about to not care.
Yeah.
I'm about to do what I want.
Well, that's why it
to do,
kind of goes
bro.
back to when I said, like, it seems like you have a, I admire the fact that you still, like, a lot of people might just be like, all right, like, I'm married, got the kid, go to work, come home,
Yeah,
chill on the couch, put the feet up. But like we're doing this podcast, like you
yeah,
got music, you got your YouTube channel that's
yeah,
like just
bro.
under 10,000 subscribers. Like,
Yeah, bro.
you make
Going.
time for your own thing,
Yeah,
which is
we have
cool. And I
to,
think
bro.
that subconsciously, like, it keeps you going. Like, probably whether,
Yeah,
like the fact that you put effort and action into to these other things, like for
yeah.
yourself.
It's those are my golden tickets, bro.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they're not making what people would say money and a bunch of stuff like that right now, but they
Yeah, but they
will.
feed you. They're like the
Yeah,
gas
but
to your, like,
they are
your
the.
mental, like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like,
It's like, listen, the rocket ain't making no money in the building stage, but once it's built, it shoots off.
yeah.
That's how it is right now. It's the rocket's
But
almost all
but the
built.
building keeps you content.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. No, it keeps you. I mean, yeah.
keeps you
Well,
going. Not content. It keeps you like
fresh.
the fulfillment is in the
Mhm.
building. It's
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
doing. You know
bro.
what I mean?
Yo,
Like,
I swear that's so true.
it is. Like,
That's so true.
I'm sure
Everything, bro.
you probably feel very fulfilled. Like, if you wake up, you pray, you have your process. You shoot your
Hmm.
YouTube video. Maybe you work on a little music. Maybe you look at your real estate stuff.
Hmm.
You post. You see your daughter. Whether you're conscious of it or not, I bet that you feel in a good mood when you hit all those,
Oh yeah,
when you do all
yeah,
those,
yeah, bro. I have to.
you know?
And when I don't, I'm like, yo, tomorrow I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Like it
Oh,
is.
yeah,
No,
dude.
it's definitely like, yeah, I have to, bro. It's part of the plan. Like it's like when you. It's so funny when you were saying that. I was thinking of like, okay, it's all in the journey. The whole everything, the fun part of it is all in the climb, right? So you're working out and you're getting jacked down here, right? You're working out, pumping out, right?
Can't jack.
Getting jacked. But when you wake up in the morning and you happen to look in the mirror after a while and you've been on it and you look ripped up and you look good, to me, and I don't know, you tell me, yeah, of course it feels good, but it's not the same feeling as like doing the whole schedule of
Yeah.
things to work out. It's not the same feeling. The result is like, it's crazy how the result is always like, I always say this, a Lil Uzi example, like, it's so true, like with everything. They're like, yo, EXO Tour Life is triple platinum. I don't know, the craziest reward you can get for a song. And they're like, how often do you listen to that song? And he's like, never. He's like, we make it and we listen to it for like that night. And then like,
It's done.
he goes, then I'm actually like sad because like now I gotta like do it. Like it's over. Like that song's old. And it's so true, bro. Like of course you get excitement in the old
Yeah,
beats,
but the
old
excitement
things.
is in the creation, the making, the building, the
Yeah.
journey,
So
yeah,
that tells you
definitely.
you have to constantly create.
Hmm.
You have to constantly be doing stuff,
Yeah.
you
Well, it's
know?
funny. It's like you can wake up. It's like I could wake up, look in the mirror, and have a lean stomach and see abs and be in good shape.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm not able to go to the gym, or if I don't work out
Mm.
that day, which is rare, or 2 days, like I feel like, oh my gosh, like I can't
Yeah.
believe I need to, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So because I enjoy the going, I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I enjoy the,
The whole process.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, me too,
So,
bro. It's so true, bro. The whole process is the whole fun part, bro.
yeah.
Like we'll still be having the same joy on episode 99.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And then we'll be like, yo, 100
that's it.
next
I'm
week.
psyched for that.
Like it's going to be the same podcast, bro. It's so interesting, bro. Like podcasts are like, before podcasts, it was vlogs. It was like you did a vlog. That's like the best way to showcase everything that you got going on. And, the best way to, market your services and build a brand,
Hmm.
Now it's like podcasts. They made it, I'm not saying this is easy. You got to set up the cameras. You got to know how to edit. You got to have lights. You got to have a location. You got to commitment between people and yourself to go do the stuff. But it's still easy to just like set a camera up and talk. But you also have to have things to talk about. Like, I feel like we got like a niche in the sense that we could just talk
Yeah,
forever about positive stuff all
yeah,
day. No subject needed, you know?
yeah. for sure.
And but it's so interesting now that that's like that's the push, man. Like that's the push. It wraps up everything, bro. You could build a brand in such a captivating way because like man, like I watch podcasts, you watch podcasts, you do not care about the film production of that podcast. You care solely about
No.
what they're talking about. You
Yeah,
put
I
that on
care
in the
about,
car, in your
yeah,
pocket while you're working. Maybe you watch it too if you have the time, but most time you're just sitting there listening to it. It's so crazy to think like that.
yeah.
That's some serious dedication. When we had the radio, we didn't really do that unless it was like a radio station we liked, but like we didn't, no one was on a radio like doing these types of things.
Hmm.
You know, it just wasn't really a thing. And now it's like you could just feed yourself with whatever podcast or topic that you want and feed yourself
Yeah,
continuously
no,
as long
I'm
as
all about,
creators create
I
it.
always listen to people talk, like,
Hmm.
now,
Me
I
too,
always
bro.
listen to
Me too.
podcasts.
You know, it's
I,
funny. Morgan said it. She's like, I don't get podcasts. Like, I just don't get it. And I was like, babe, you are an anomaly, bro. Like,
yeah,
you don't go on, you don't use social. Like you don't
exactly.
use it for what it kind of is. So like you don't think of like, why would you listen to a podcast? You know, like you just like don't think of it. Like I feel like a podcast mind is like a little different for someone. Like it's mostly probably people who are entrepreneurial, someone who wants to grow. Not saying she doesn't, but like my wife is successful. She has a business. She's dedicated in her career. She's educated on it. She's constantly educating on it. But she's not in the sense of like for
Everyone's
me
got their thing, dude.
it's like for me like I'm not watching podcasts about landscaping.
Yeah,
I don't need to. I don't want to, don't
yeah,
need to. Know the education, doing it, moving forward,
hmm,
growing, you
yeah.
know. But when it comes to like these other things, you know, making beats, doing real estate, building a brand, you know, social media content, mindset, motivation, religion, all those things are podcasts, you know? So it's like, it's a separate sector. It could be a separate sector in your life to grow entrepreneurial wise, or it could also be just a way to feed you mentally to keep you in a good mindset to pursue what you're
No,
doing.
that's what,
It's
dude.
wild, bro. It's wild, man.
I listen to a lot of stuff because I can relate to it. I'm interested in it. Um, but a lot of times too, it feel like you said it keeps my mind in that state of like where I want it to be,
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
like positive upward trajectory. Like
Hmm.
I'm either learning or I'm feeding my brain with like positive thoughts so I can
Hmm.
act in a certain way. Like I
Yeah,
just,
bro.
you know,
Yeah, it's important, bro. Like, I just think it's such a great
yeah,
opportunity, and we're doing that like right
yeah,
now.
dude,
You know,
exactly.
like
11.
I go back and watch ours, you know, at times I do, and I'm like, yo, this is awesome, man. Like, I
And it's
hope
cool,
it's giving
it's cool
people
that we could,
value.
yeah, like, and that's another thing I want to try to focus on too. Like, you know, not to say that we don't. I want to make sure that we continue, like, because I'm only going based on like when I listen to podcasts, and it makes you think, okay, why? Like just now, it made me think like why I listen to podcasts.
Mm,
It's because like I can relate to dudes, or dudes are in a place that like I would like to be one day,
look up to.
or look up to, or I'm learning. I'm genuinely learning. Like I'll listen to things and I'll be like, oh wait, like it's value. I learn things. I like,
Yeah,
you know what I
bro.
mean? So it's
Man,
cool.
bro.
So I
I'm
guess
addicted.
my point is like I would like to think that and hope that we continue to or improve on and continue to like give like value or say some things that like other people can resonate with,
Hmm.
you know,
I think we
and
do.
not just like, you know, like I would just want somebody to be able to watch it and get something out of it,
I mean, I
you
can't
know,
see how you wouldn't,
you
bro.
know.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm, you know, what we're sharing is stuff that we're getting
Of
from
course, I'm
ourselves.
just saying that's the
Yeah.
trajectory that I
True.
want to stay on, you know,
True.
like
True. And we'll hit the people that are we're supposed to hit with it, you know?
yeah, definitely.
Just staying true to
And
like,
eventually we're gonna have people on too. Like I do there, I
yeah.
just feel like because you know we have people in our circle that we know that
Hmm.
like or just you know
Would love to have them on
yeah.
for sure. It's just nice that like, you know, we build this foundation.
Oh, we
I don't
will,
know. I
dude.
talked
Yeah.
about it with Marcus too. I was like, I don't know, man. Like we thought about it at episode 10, then we thought about episode 20, and I'm like, I don't know. Now as I'm thinking about it, I'm like, it's more might be more like episode 50.
What did he say about it?
He said, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like, you know, whatever, like, I get it. Like, but at the same time, it's like, also don't want to wait on having guests. Like, if
Yeah.
we
Like
have them now and they want to come on and like we have people in mind, Like, you know,
It doesn't
we could
mean
do it.
once we have a guest, we have to have one every week.
No, no, no,
You know
no,
what I
no, no.
mean?
Just once in a
Like,
while. Like, you
just
know,
once in a while.
once in a
Yeah.
while we have somebody on here, you know, have people twice who want to come. People, you know, I think
Yeah.
there's just so many people that do
The reason the reason I didn't want to do it too early was because I wanted us to prove to ourselves that, like, which we are currently doing,
Mm,
is prove to ourselves that, like, this was something we were going to stick to.
yeah.
That we weren't just talking about it. Like, we just,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I wanted to make sure that, like, we're serious about showing up doing this. Like, I didn't want to
Yeah.
just, like, have a guest on or have someone on here and then just, like, all of a sudden, like, we fall off and we're just not filming
Yeah.
and this and that. You know what?
Yeah, I'll
Does that
be
make
on.
sense?
Yeah,
Like,
no, 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 definitely. I
I wanted to,
definitely
like,
think like at this point we're like way past falling off stuff,
oh yeah, no, I'm saying
which
it's
is
almost,
so good.
it's almost like saying, like,
No, I get it. I get it,
yeah,
bro.
like,
Like,
if a
you
dude
know,
came up to me and was like, if a dude came up to me and was like, yo, dude, like, I want to, like, I want to, like, hop on juice. I want to get big and jacked. And I would be like, all right, dude, well, like, before you do that,
mm,
before you waste your money and
mhm.
before you spend it, before you do this, like, are you
Are
at
you
least
good?
eating the right foods? Are you
Yeah.
at least working out? Are you at least sleeping? Are
Mm-hmm.
you at least drinking enough water?
Mm-hmm.
Like, make sure you can prove to yourself that you're doing the basics before you do that.
Yeah.
In an analogy sense, that's
But
kind of
that
what I
makes
was
it
saying,
makes
you
sense,
know?
bro. Yeah, definitely, you know. And I think we both know inside that like, yo, this is the ticket for us.